Hello, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope everyone's doing okay. So today, I'm doing something a little bit different and not something I intend to do very often, but ideas have come into my head and I just felt the need to talk about it. And it's kind of a response video, this one, in response to another video posted last week by Noble Records, Dylan at Noble Records. I'm sure if you're watching this now, you'll just know who Dylan from Noble Records is. You'll be subscribed to him. He is kind of the governor of the vinyl community in a way. That's how I see him anyway. But the video he made was based on the fact that vinyl and record collecting is not as fun as it used to be. And he kind of made it personal to him. I'm sure many of you have seen it. It's got tens of thousands of views. But I watched it and it resonated with me so much, and I just agreed with absolutely everything he said. I really did. If for some reason you're watching this and you haven't seen the video, I would urge you to go and view it because, yeah, the opinions he's got are just bang on, and kind of his personal views. Yeah, I just related to pretty much everything in a way. Obviously, not in a personal view of a record shop owner, because I'm not a dealer or a record shop owner. I haven't got the collection that he's got. So what I wanted to do, it just kind of conjured up some other opinions about it that I have. I don't really want to repeat what he's kind of said, but yeah, there are several things that have just been sort of buzzing around my head since that video was made and over the last few days. And in a strange way, it's kind of it's a bit of a response to one of my own videos. In fact, my last video where I showed all my internet purchases recently. And it wasn't until I made that video, got all the records together, watched it back, looked at the length of it, which was kind of over 35 minutes long, and realised that, have I gone too far? I'm totally burnt out with buying online, really, and I've just got far too many, quite frankly. So I'm just going to go through a few thoughts on what I think has made record collecting not quite what it used to be. So, number one, the internet. Very broad, a very sort of broad topic. What can I say? I mean, online shopping's been around for years, and many years, decades, in fact, and that is the same for record collecting. Of course, the main, I don't want to say culprit, but the main source of record buying, I would certainly say these days, is Discogs, because pretty much everything is on there. And I don't want to have a go at Discogs because it is a wonderful thing in a way. I think even if you don't buy from it, everybody uses it as a source of information. It acts as a really kind of useful database to see the value of records, different pressings, matrix numbers, what they look like, etc., etc. But I think internet shopping has taken a lot of the joy out of it if you use it, and certainly if you use it too much. I do like to use it because there are things I'm after which I just never see in the wild. I've said this before, particularly things like post punk. I never ever ever see these things, and I feel if I don't just get them online, why they're sort of at a reasonable price, I might never have them. So it is useful for that, and I'm not discouraging using it. It is a good tool, but ultimately there is just something. There's just something taken away when you look at internet shopping versus going to a shop, a car boot fair, a record fair, and finding something in the wild, and ultimately going to these establishments and actually not knowing what you're going to come away with. There's no kind of thrill there, and it can just end up, certainly if you can afford it at the time, that you just can get carried away. And I feel certainly over the last couple of months I've got carried away, and that is very much demonstrated in my last video. So yeah, it's very, as I say, Discogs, internet shopping is not a new is not a new thing. You know, we've had sites like Net Sounds and Gem, Music Stack. Does anyone remember those? I don't know if they're all still around. I don't think they are. So it's there, but it's just not really that fun. I don't think it can be nice, you know, having the your postman turn up with that brown envelope and you know, opening it, you know. But again, too easy to get carried away. I'll give you an example of how easy it is to obtain things. The other night, my wife and myself were watching Breaking Bad. It's the second time we've watched it. We are binge watching it. We watched it when it was kind of first around, you know, probably going a decade ago, and we decided to watch it again. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, what can I say? It's one of the best TV shows ever. But Breaking Bad has got an amazing musical soundtrack to it. Lots of interesting and obscure songs, broad range. There's so much going on each episode. And there was one particular episode, and there was this kind of groovy, kind of pop psyche, folky thing going on. And I immediately said, I said to my missus, I said, oh, quickly, get your phone out, get on Shazam, find out who it is. I want to know who this is. Anyway, she Shazammed it, and it was a track by a band called The Peddlers. And I think the name may ring a bell, but ultimately they're not what I'm looking out for. I think I may have heard the name, but that's it. Band from the late 60s. Episode finishes. I get straight on my phone. I'm on Discogs. Look the track up, or the album that the track's on, straight to UK first pressings. Lots for sale, affordable, VG Plus or near mint. I didn't buy it, but it just kind of, it stopped me in my tracks to kind of this realization of how easy that could just be in my collection within days, literally on a device without getting out of my seat. It's literally that simple. And where is the fun in that? I don't know. There is kind of something quite nice about it, and I'm sure a lot of people will go away and kind of, you know, they'll stream it. They'll put it on, put the tracks or the album onto their device, listen to it when they're out and about. But I kind of don't really do that. I don't stream that much. I only tend to stream things I already know if I just want to play a couple of tracks. So yeah, it certainly put it all in perspective. So item number 2, too much choice. I've been saying a lot, and I'll say it in conversation time and time again. The amount of choice musically that's out there it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And it is the fact of the matter is it's too much for any one human being to comprehend completely. I know full well that I will never, ever, ever in my whole lifetime collect everything that I could potentially like. It's impossible. You know, and there will be things that I'll live my life that I just know nothing about that could potentially be amazing to me that I could love, but it will just pass me by. And again, it's harking back to the good old days. I almost think when I knew less, you know, I had a relatively extensive knowledge, say 20 years ago, but it just seemed a lot easier when I knew less. You know, this hobby never started out as a huge, great list, and it's like I'm going to collect all this, and then the list just goes down and down and down. It's not like that at all. Basically, the light at the end of the tunnel, the concept of completing, you know, your record collection, getting to a point where it's like, right, I've got it all now. That's it. I've got it. I'll just sit back and listen to it. That light at the end of the tunnel is just disappearing into the distance because you've got so much choice. I'll give you another example. I'm going to actually show a record here. I am going to show a record. I showed this last week. This band called Normal Hawaiians. The album is called What's Going On. Okay. Great kind of avant-garde, new wave and post-punk. It's really, really good. But when I got it, first listened to it, sort of having a look at the sleeve and the artwork. Anyway, I pulled out the inner sleeve, the original inner sleeve here, and it's on an independent label, Illuminated Records. And take a look at that. Look, it gives a list of all these albums, all these artists, and there I was looking at it, going, never heard any of them, never heard of any of them. So I got my phone out, I went onto Discogs, looked every single one up, and added about 2/3 of them to my wants list. Every single one that looked interesting. They're all like post-punk, punk, goth, and I'm like, oh, that's all up my alley. So I've ticked one box getting this record that has been on my wants list for only a short time, and by obtaining it, I've now added 20. Will I get them all? I don't know. Will I obtain? I don't know. I could just splurge on Discogs. You know, I couldn't because I can't afford to do that. But they were all there for sale on Discogs, and I could have got a great deal just there and then. But again, where's the fun in that? I'd much rather just find them in the wild. And it comes into the next topic, really, or the next heading subject: FOMO, fear of missing out. You know, that kind of concept, you know, isn't just exclusive to this hobby, is it really? Fear of missing out. You sort of worry that something's going on that you might love. Oh, mate, I should be there instead of here. I should be out with them instead of sitting indoors and relaxing, things like that. And I think the same goes for this hobby and music in general. It's like, oh God, I've got all this music, but there's this other stuff that I might like. What if there's this band? What if my favourite band in the world is sitting out there and I haven't heard it yet? You know, and they might, you know, this album might be the greatest album I've ever heard, and I might never have it. It's a strange insecurity. It really is, but it exists, and it is something you've just got to get over and deal with. Finally, time in your life, and this goes sort of deep into sort of, you know, living your life. In my head, I keep thinking, right, there's only so much time to complete this. There's only so much time. I've only got so many years I can get these albums. And the truth of the matter is, I mean, I'm not old. I mean, I'm knocking on. I'm 46. I've turned 46 recently, so I'm not old. You know, I'm not getting any younger. But what's the rush? You know, I'm not. I'm touch wood. I'm healthy. I'm not terminally ill or anything like that. You know, I'd like to think I've got sort of, you know, years ahead of me. And you know, what is the rush? Is there a rush to sort of complete this and just sort of pack it in? No, not really, not really. You know, there are people here in the vinyl community. You know, there's a big, you know, who are older than me. With all due respect to you, I mean, there are people on here who are in their 60s. There are people on here in their 70s. They're still discovering music. You know, you sort of get this thing where it's like, oh God, I must have this in my, you know, I can't possibly be without this album. I can't wait 20 years to get this. And it's like, yeah, you can. There's always time. You know, I've gone all these years without owning something like, I don't know, Pet Sounds. I only bought that this year. And yeah, I've played it. I like it, you know. And it's, yeah, as I say about all albums, better late than never. You know, you shouldn't feel the need to have it in your collection. You know, you've got all your life to sort of obtain this stuff. And yeah, that's all I really have to say on the matter. So yeah, I've been rambling on a bit now. We've got up to quarter of an hour, so I'll wrap it up there. As I say, guys, I mean, it's normally my response videos. Probably I'm not going to do them very often, and not just going to do ones where I sit and talk. But you know, when you've got ideas in your head, they're buzzing around your head, and what better way to do it than to make a video? I sometimes find making these videos, I don't know if you agree, it's like a little bit of musical therapy in a way, because you've got these thoughts, you've got something to say, you say it. I know you're not saying it at anyone physically, but you are kind of communicating to, you know, tens, scores, hundreds, thousands, however many people are going to watch the video. and it just kind of, it just gets out of your system. So anyway, as I say, it's all my opinion. This is a bit personal. If you agree with anything or have any thoughts yourself, as always, please do chime in. And I will be back with more videos. Personally, as a result of this, I want to completely cut down on the internet buying. I'm going to set myself a challenge, and this is at least, I do not want to make any more internet purchases for the rest of the year. If I can do well at that, I'm going to continue into 2025 with this challenge, really, because I want to concentrate more on buying out and about. There are so many shops that I want to go out and visit, and this is what I do. I make these videos and they are very popular and I enjoy them. I enjoy it. Everybody wins. So if I say that challenge here, I'm more likely to stick to it. We will see. Anyway, if I do falter, I will let you know, because I always show off what I buy. Okay, so until the next time, stay tuned for future videos where I will be showing some actual records and talking about music. But yeah, take care of yourselves and see you all soon.